G'day guys, Craig from the Property Buyers here. Just checking with a bit of an update on where the Brisbane and Sunshine Coast property markets are at present. Now we're into June, the final month of the financial year, after a pretty hectic year. We are starting to see an easing off in price growth in Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast, although it's pretty strong compared to other capital cities where we're seeing drops altogether in in Sydney and Melbourne. We still saw just under 1% growth last month, with a quarterly growth of around 4.6% for Brisbane itself, and the Sunshine Coast probably slightly lower, probably around that sort of 4.3 for the quarter, but still increasing just under a percentage point for the month as well. So we're still seeing very tight stock levels across the board, although it feels like it's bottom. We have seen a slight increase, in Brisbane in the 30-day stock levels. We're up to 7,900 for Brisbane. Now that bottomed out in January of 2022. We were looking at about 5,100. So total stock on market in Brisbane this month was around 18,600 compared to January, where we think it bottomed out around about 16,000 properties in the market. So we're starting to see it rise up, and that's where we're starting to see the dramatic price growth that we've had for the year. I think annualised we're looking at about 27.5% growth in Brisbane itself. It's probably around about 25% on the Sunshine Coast, so it's a quite dramatic growth spurt for any market. I think going forward we're probably going to see a bit more of we're going to have a great year, but we're going to have a more normalised sort of growth jump, and I think it's probably going to start easing in a similar way to the other southern capital cities, where we'll probably be looking around that sort of 10% growth going forward. That's without all the other external factors that we've got happening, globally with Ukraine, China, inflation rises, interest rate rises. There's a lot happening there, so it's very hard to tell how confidence in the property market's going to continue going forward, but it's definitely going to see an easing of property growth, I think, although it'll still the drivers are still there for solid growth throughout southeast Queensland. I think with the amount of infrastructure that's sort of happening, and the new projects that will be announced, obviously with new federal government working in tune with the state governments as well. So I think there's good story going forward for southeast Queensland over the next decade. Obviously the Olympics at the end, the end of that, which is the icing on the cake. But the drivers are all there. I think for some consistent growth, we might have some flat periods here and there, but it's going to keep going, I think. And when you look at the vacancy rates, the rental market is I don't know, it's a bit of a disaster really across the board. But in Brisbane itself, we've got vacancy rates of 0.7%. December 2016, which was at the worst part of the market here, it was at 4.1%, and it has sort of almost consistently been dropping since then. The last peak was at the beginning of COVID in April 2020, where it spiked back up to 2.8%. And as I said, we're down to 0.7% and 0.5% on the Sunshine Coast. The Sunshine Coast has been plateauing like this for probably about 7 or 8 months now. I can't see it changing in the short term, and this will be something that the federal and state governments and local governments will really have to work on to try and bring more rental stock to the market, because it's a bit of a disaster at the moment if you're looking for a rental. And we are seeing rental price growth quite dramatic at the moment. And this is where we'll see the rental yields sort of catch up to the purchase price, where we've had this massive spike in purchase prices. We're going to see the easing of those prices, and we're going to see the rents coming up, and that the yields will start returning to the properties. It's not going to be so good for renters, but until the government can bring some more stock to market, it's really hard to see that changing. So it's very tight across the board. So like I said, all the drivers are there for still continued growth throughout Brisbane and the region. I can't see that changing dramatically. Unless interest rates suddenly, we are looking at definitely a few interest rate rises over the next 12 to 18 months. How much confidence that takes out of the market's hard to say, but that will no doubt even itself out in the long term. I think the days of 18% interest rate is just unrealistic and unsustainable. So I can't see that happening. I think, because of the leverage at the moment, smaller, a couple of percentage points will make a dramatic dramatic difference to people because of the amount that they're borrowing these days. So that will definitely have some sort of effect, but I think it'll sort of even out in the long run once that becomes a bit more normalised as well, and once we come out of the post-COVID economy. It's going to be some interesting times, but overall the market's very solid. We're definitely not seeing, there was a period last year where we were going to open houses the first midweek or the first Saturday, and we were confronted with 25 offers. Potentially 20 of those were sight unseen from interstate or overseas, whereas now we're starting to see, maybe there's 5 offers and they're 5 solid offers, but it appears that frenzy has eased off in most markets. So still happening though. Stock is still moving quite quickly, or decent stock. I mean, if it's a problem property or too much work to do, then they can sit there for a little while, but it's overall the market's still quite strong. So we'll get back out the road. We'll just sort of give you an update coming into the end of financial year, to let you know where we're at. Haven't done a video for a while. If we can be of any assistance, give us a call, 1300 273 031. Give me an email at craig@theedgebuyers.com.au, or click the link below and book in a time. We can have a chat, whether you're ready to purchase a property now or in 6 months' time. Happy to have a chat, no obligation. But happy buying, people, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.